16, 2022. We had two commissioners present, so we have a quorum. Commissioner Hofstadter is not going to be here today. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do some approvals here first. I'll move that we approve the May 2nd minutes that were presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have the claims against the county. Do you have any changes, modifications?
I do that.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We also had payroll from the previous couple weeks. I'll move that we approve those as they're presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have Highway Department reports from Mr. Berg. Thank you.
Okay, item 1 is a request for an additional appropriation out of NVH. Our weed spray line item has been used up with our first purchase of the year. So in order to resupply the fund for another purchase towards the end of the year, I'd like to ask for an additional appropriation of $5,500 to cover that expense.
And what fund is that? That's just your regular highway fund?
Yeah.
Commissioner Brown, do you have any issues with that?
It's out of NVH, you said?
NVH.
No, I don't have an issue with it.
I'll move that we support the additional appropriation request.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item number 2, again, another additional appropriation request. This is for solid waste. As we experienced with the single axle truck, where we had a surcharge, we've got one for the sanitation chassis as well. I'd like to ask for additional appropriation to come from the solid waste sticker fund to cover this expense in the amount of $2,930.
Can I see this one? I guess you reviewed it. Looks like it has the same language as the other one.
Yeah.
Good. I will move that we approve support for the additional appropriation request.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right, final item. We've received our first notice of an asphalt rate change. This is an increase for an escalation clause in bid item number 6 this year from Cave Quarries. Number 5 base, the bid, annual bid was $66. It's now $76.91. Binder was $71. It's now $82.46. And surface was $72. It's now $85.73. And these all take effect on May the 1st. So,
And that's within the range that we approved the bid.
Yeah, whether there's an escalation clause that's saying if the PG binder and all that goes up to the oil and all that, there's an escalation clause that allows an increase or a decrease based on the market, so.
So there's not a limit, it doesn't say it can go up by 20%, it goes up by whatever the market actually bears.
This is on asphalt projects.
Yeah, just materials that we pick up for.
Materials that you pick up for the work that
Yeah.
you do in-house. This is not on the bid,
No.
asphalt projects that they have bid on.
Those are from, not our paving project, just the material.
Right, okay, got it.
Do we have, is there our other supplier for these same materials? Did we get one from them as well?
From Randolph, but the plant where we have to go get it is pretty far away usually.
This is usually what we do. Or maybe the trip's worth it if is it gonna make it worth it if this goes up by $10 yeah. I know you're looking at it, so that's just for our information, right? We really can do about that. I don't have anything else, Mr. Berg.
Nope.
Thank you. What else?
My fingers are so dry.
Thank you.
Okay, first thing, Duff Solar Park. We met with EDP Renewables. We had a virtual meeting, Steve and I did. They gave us a map of the roads they would like to utilize. While constructing while constructing the park, we gave them an estimate of what the road use agreement they're gonna have to bond, and we gave them examples of the road use agreement. So they're planning on beginning this in the fall of 23. So we still have time, but we're still getting the legwork going. And it'll be completed at the end of 24. We'll have more formal meetings and things like that. Right now, it was an introductory meeting, kind of good. It was a good meeting, but we'll know more here later. So just gonna keep you guys on the list. I'll keep it on my report as more comes in.
And it felt like they were pretty firm that this was happening.
Yeah, it's happening. They're adamant about that. So it is going to happen. How big, how small, I haven't got those details.
That's what I was gonna ask. They have some of the leases in place with the landowners already.
They didn't give us much detail on that stuff, but they just said that it's gonna happen, so. They have their plans and the roads they wanna use, maybe they wanna use. Come here.
The area is pretty substantial, so how many miles of roads is it?
It's quite a few miles of road. 650 west, 715 south, 260 south, 300 south, 350 south. I have the map somewhere, I list these all off. So spread apart, I can't do it one time.
Yeah.
We need to put it here in the middle.
So there's State Road 64.
There's 161.
Yeah, that one here's 650, very sorry patch right there. Around Duff Road southeast. I'll give you an idea where they're at. There's a temple of Duff.
I haven't heard him see, but this is the red line right here, right?
Yeah.
So. North out there, and it kind of goes just south of it.
It's all
It goes south and.
I would say it's gonna be all in this area here, but all their trucks are gonna access this way.
It just seems like such an awesome size.
The property is probably a bit scattered. In other words, it's not all one solid
Yeah.
piece of property. Whoever they could lease from or.
Right.
It
Seems like that would make it less cost effective if it's not contiguous.
Right.
Maybe,
I
I
don't know.
don't know, but not all landowners are in agreement.
Right.
With it. So.
Right.
some of the discussion that we had was not only the usage of the roads, but the infrastructure going from each of these sites where the solar panels are, to take it to where it's going. So there's gonna be buried line, and I think some pole to pole as well, I believe.
All buried.
All buried.
All buried
on
there.
our county roads. So-
We gave them that permit and stuff too, so. Like I said, it's very introductory meeting. I don't have much more information than that map right there and the fact that we could give them what they're gonna have to bond and stuff like that.
Okay.
So do we have, what is our power regarding that right of way? Can we say, no, we don't want you, we won't allow you to use it? Or is there,
It's public right of way. I don't know how that law works. We've never stopped people from using it. We've regulated where they put it in the right of way.
you say it has to be on this side of the road?
And it has to be so far deep. You know, that's mainly what we can concern. I've never told them they could not put it in, but they have to put them in this depth in this area to keep with everybody else.
It's all public right of way, so I'd say they are entitled to, but they have to do it according to our standards because it's shared public right of ways.
Is there a permit fee or is there a lot application fee or
For
something?
our right of way, utilities in our right of way, no. We've never charged anybody. It's just our way to keep track of where everything's at. Now, there are counties that do that, and that's probably something we can look into in the future, but we've never had a utility not work with us, but that way.
I don't think at this point, I've seen nothing that tells me I'm opposed to the project, but if I was opposed to the project, I'd want to know those answers to see where our strength was of, for example, if they're wanting to put huge wind turbines next to people's homes, I would probably feel differently than if it's solar panels.
Right.
So, I don't know. Commissioner, you have any thoughts or comments on it?
No, I don't. I mean, we'll just continue to move forward and see how, like you said, it's an introductory meeting, and we'll see how it progresses and see whether we run into any concerns or roadblocks or things that become contentious at any rate.
Yeah, because like I said, we've never limited anybody, but we always have control where they're going in the right of way. So, because it is public right of way, I don't think we can necessarily stop them. We can control them, we can't stop them.
Now, they're talking about utilities that they'll be putting in, the lines that they're putting in. There are other utilities in the area, whether it's water or that sort of thing. Will they have to work with them as well?
We'll have to avoid them because they were there first. They will have to avoid them.
And since it's a buried power line, there's a little bit more criteria that they have to follow us, certain depths and everything. It's not like a phone line where it's not as critical. Power lines are a little bit more critical, so.
A lot more of a safety issue than
Safety.
to be with phone.
Correct.
It's gonna be a pretty high power.
I would think so. With the amount of
It's not
solar
just
panels they're gonna put up.
It's not just an REC line going to a house or a farm, or
Correct.
this is a transmission line that's
Correct.
carrying a lot of power.
Correct.
My assumption would be they just take it under line over the Duff substation, but is that maybe it?
That's my assumption too. I completely agree with you that they're gonna put the power into that plant, but I don't know. I don't know enough about this kind of stuff to know how far can they transfer it. I would agree with you. I would assume it would go that way. That's why they're one of
Financially, it would work to go other places, I would think.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna talk about that again at 9:00, but we can move on here.
CCMG, first round for this one, we'll bid that at the June 6th meeting, so next meeting, I'll leave it on there so I don't forget about it. Okay, then paving projects we just bid. I had recommendations for approvals based on prices and what we've got going. Got color, pretty colorful here. You've seen it if you want to copy. So, okay. So our in-house paving projects. So 22-3, I'm at the bottom, sorry, I jumped around the line. 22-3, 500 west. I recommend awarding that to CalCar Paving in the amount of $187,348.25. The Town of Ireland, I recommend to CalCar Paving in the amount of $409,713. 2205, which is 100 East, 420 North, and 520 North. I have the money there, the bid's there, but we're gonna scratch that project due to the financing of the cost of everything being so high. Let's just get rid of that one. It's the best roads, the grouping that I have. Those can wait till next year, and we'll bid them next year. So that's why that one's scratched out. Old Road 545 and DuBois Road Northwest. We're recommending awarding to CalCar Paving. It was low bid, $29,348.35. Then 2207 Anthony Road West to CalCar Paving in amount of $239,503.45. And then 2208 Celestine Road North to CalCar Paving in the amount of $179,1430. And then Old Huntingburg Road, 150 South, 100 South, 400 West, project 2209 to J.H. Rudolph, in the amount of $284,182. All of those projects, all the little bids, they're all those qualified bidders. That's who I recommend.
And none of this is community crossings, therefore.
This is all in-house, correct?
Therefore, there's no grant that we have to match.
Correct.
So scratching that one project,
Not a big deal.
not a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal for that road.
It is, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
but,
correct,
but it doesn't affect any funding.
right.
Are there additional funds available that we could do the project if we wanted to? If we wanted to request an additional to cover the little bit of extra? I guess the reason I'm saying it is if it's a project that needs done and we're gonna do it next year anyway, it'll cost more next year than it does this year. Is there any reason we should maybe try to go ahead and get it done? You've already done some of the engineering legwork, the bids in. It wasn't that much higher over your estimate. Or what do you think, Commissioner Brown? I mean, is it?
Well, I don't know, that depends on the funding that's available, and that one wasn't that much higher over the estimate,
No.
but the accumulation of all of them, drives the, funding up way up there, so that's,
We would have it in to almost ask for an additional 100,000 somewhere. If we had to find additional $100,000 somewhere. I don't know if we've actually got that anywhere and still be able to function with the rest of our work we need to do for the rest of the year. It works. It's cleaner for right now. I understand exactly what you're saying. It's cleaner for us right now. Let's just drop it. We'll keep
What we're looking at, what we're paying for our fuel. Right now, I think the last time we had over diesel, was probably around that $5 area. So I know fuel coming towards the end of the year is gonna be tight. We need to hold some reserve to cover that. So we're just trying to play it conservative and safe here. It would be nice to get it paid, but if we try to do that, and we run short someplace else, then we'll have to likely go to the council for some backup funding.
is this funding primarily all MVH
MVH and local road.
and local road? And when you say if you would do it, you'd have to go to the council for funding, then it would have to come from somewhere else.
correct.
Part of our MVH is also going to be used to do the match for the community crossings that we're bidding in June. So that money's going there as well, along with our chip seal overlays and repairs and stuff like that. So by the time you put all that together, it's going to be fairly tight. And then if we have to cover additional fuel expenses where our fund would run dry, similar to the weed and all that, we still have some money that we can cover that, trying to be self-sustaining. But if we try to put this project in there, we'll likely have to go back to the council. To get it.
Anything else, Commissioner Brown?
No, I don't think so. I think, it was good that we were able to use the low bid in each case. And it, you know.
Yep.
Not a lot we can do about the cost of oil.
It's a volatile market right now. We just gotta, when I did these estimates, we did the budget, things went up, 20%, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later.
You
So,
know, and I don't know whether it'll be higher next year. You know,
Yeah.
oil is a commodity that fluctuates quite a bit.
Mhm.
And granted, the cost of labor and all of the other things, but the cost of oil could be down at some time in the future. But we just
And
have to
actually,
see.
earlier in the year, the 420 that we're talking here, that's the second project we had to pull.
yeah,
We had another one.
we got a level in our south.
That we were gonna look at doing as well, so this is the second, project that we've had to pull because of the increase in asphalt.
Do you want to go over the second part too, or would you?
Well,
like
I need to get those
approve
approval. I need to get that approved first. The other one's just information.
I'll move that we approve the recommended contractors for projects 2203, 04, 06, 07, 08, and 09.
No second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, so the second round of 2021 CCMG projects, they're paving them as we speak. They start on 100 West and 1000 South, 2105. They should be done with that project at the end of the day today. Then they are going to 1075 South over by Holland, which is south of Holland. They'll start that one tomorrow. That should take them 2 days to finish in there. And then they're going to 900 South, which is on the north side of Holland. And that won't take another 2 days. So by the middle of next week, they should be done out with that round, which is great. And I gotta commend them for what they had to put up with money wise and everything else. They're just putting nose to the grindstone to get it done. So I can commend them on that.
So when did they give us a bid on those?
Back in January. So
So they didn't go the right direction.
they took a hit.
Okay, thank you for the update.
You guys got anything for me?
Yep. Rye Hill Road, where it crosses into Spencer County. I know we have some shared agreements with them on some of those roads that lie north of the interstate, but not in maintenance, do we? I mean, grading and things like that, perhaps, or do we maintain those roads as well?
Several of them.
One south of the interstate, our road, they maintain completely.
Okay.
That one.
I just saw a culvert going in on down there somewhere, and I didn't know whether that was us or whether that was Spencer
That
County.
was Spencer County.
That's.
But it's north of the interstate.
Yeah, it's on the north side of the interstate, yes. They take care of Mariah Hill Road. I know where it's at, but we had to have Kenny come out there and show me where this, he had to actually survey the county line, because that road runs at such a funny angle, it's hard to find it exactly, so. And they're putting in new pipes and they're gonna pave that up to the county line.
Okay. I was just curious. I saw that happening, and I didn't know whether that was us or
Yeah,
Spencer County.
it's Spencer.
Just to be clear, you said there's Spencer paving up to the county line on their side. Correct. They're not doing anything on our side.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Browns, we have 5 minutes. Do you have any miscellaneous items?
I really don't have much this morning. Just kind of FYI, I've been talking to Bob Gress and Miss Holsnar out at the park department about that truck. We've got a couple of pickups up at Patoka Water and Sewer that we're trading in. But as we talked about in our meeting this morning, we're trading them on new ones, and we really don't know when those new ones are coming in. But there's a possibility that we might work something out there between our park department and 4-H out here And those trucks up there, they're a 2016 and a 2017 that have high mileage, but other than that, they're not in bad shape. So it might just be what they need. So I just,
You said
FYI.
Toka Water and those two entities, the park and 4-H?
yes, yeah, it would be between them, yeah. I guess we would end up owning that truck,
It's a county vehicle.
yeah, a county vehicle, but they would determine the price and, well, the price is gonna be determined by what the trading value is. Other than that, I didn't really have anything this morning, I don't think. Went to a radios meeting last week with nothing really to report there. It's an informational annual meeting. Soil and, or not soil, yeah, soil and water, and you and I were both at, informational meeting, that was helpful.
Suppose the work at the Dubois County Park is ongoing. I was there a few weeks ago, looked like it was going well.
I did not make it to that
LEPC.
LEPC, I did not, I talked to Tammy about it, and she said it wasn't necessary. That's when I was at the radios meeting and we didn't get back in time, so.
All right, we can move on to the 9 o'clock agenda items. Highway surplus computers.
Sent the list. The highway has been refreshed with computers, so we have some PCs, a laptop, some older PCs, docking stations, and then I have some power cords, monitors. We have over 30 keyboards, over 50 mice over in they're all surplus.
From highway or your
No,
additional ones?
That's additional.
Right.
Sorry. And then I have a monitor from the clerk's office that died and 3 cell phones from the veteran service office that I don't even think the veteran service office is. So, we have quite a few in our back room to be deleted and
I believe as you stated there, these peripherals, everything, you've kept enough for backup purposes,
Oh,
most
yeah.
of them, and these are.
this is all
Over and
extra.
above that.
Anytime we get new stuff, it just seems to get piled back there. We keep spares, but then it just becomes time to clean it out.
So I guess as far as I'm concerned, you could erase the laptop and bring it over here, and the other ones,
I don't even know if I can get it on.
is it that old?
We tried to get it on the other day, but I don't know, it was his own.
It wouldn't even turn on,
We
yeah.
couldn't get it to turn on.
When's the last time you used it?
Actually, the thing is, I had it on in my office, and then I shut it down, and now it wouldn't turn back on, so I had it
We'll
on,
keep trying.
because I had it on,
So
it
can
went
you
through
delete
it.
it without?
Well, we'll have to destroy it.
We'll just destroy it. So, but I had it on just to go through and see if I had anything on there that needed to come off or whatever. I didn't have anything on there, so I turned it off or shut it down, sent it on its way, and then we can't get it going again now. So I'll try to get it started.
Would there be non-public information on your system?
No,
I mean, anything somebody requested, it would be public record probably.
yeah.
Like I said, we'll just try to take the drive out and destroy it.
As far as I know, there's nothing on it that would be to worry about.
Right. Okay. Well, Commissioner Ramos, you have any comments on the
I
surplus items?
I don't, it's time to get rid of them, as Sandy said.
Okay. So if it's salvageable in any way, we'll take the laptop here for our potential of resale. But overall, I'll move that we declare all of the items listed as surplus items.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Mice and keyboard?
Yeah, no mice and keyboards. Okay.
I mean, we just get inundated with supply cords, power cords.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Is there any?
I spoke with Amy, the clerk, and she is very pleased with the work that Malcon does in her office currently. So my recommendation is that we do go with Malcon to do the cost allocation plan. I do have a letter prepared to end our service with Maximus, and then we need to sign the agreement to go with Malcon. I think Greg has reviewed
Yes,
that
and the
agreement.
letter, yes.
So that's my recommendation.
Any issues on anything, Mr. Schneider?
We discussed them all, I think everything's in the proper form going forward.
I just think it's easier to continue with the same person doing the service for the county, so we don't have any paying to overlap or inconsistencies.
And fee-wise, we're in the same
Same
range.
exact fee, so
Commissioner Brown, would you like to review the acceptance letter here?
I'll go ahead and I'm good with that recommendation.
And the other letter, is that one you're going to sign?
it's for me to determine.
Yes.
No, I'm good with that recommendation.
Okay, well, we'll do these one at a time. First, I'll move that we approve the termination of services letter with Maximus.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Second, the Malinowski Consulting Incorporated proposal. I'll move that we approve the proposal for the cost allocation plan.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Schneider, the solar ready?
The only updates on that is I began to draft an ordinance. I reached out to Mr. Hall as a follow-up from our discussions. I know he had been out for a week, waiting to hear back from him. I also reached out to neighboring counties, and I did get some information from Pike County. They had done something recently. When the reference to the road use agreement came up, I did forward it to you too, a sample one that they utilized, as well as some of the steps that they had done in their economic development agreements with their company when they came for abatements and things of that nature. So I do have a little bit more information. I believe, speaking with Pike, they did utilize an outside firm, I think, for the county's benefit to negotiate most of that stuff. So that's where I received that information from.
So it's
You
kind
need to negotiate anything that the county council would abate, that portion of it, or use agreements?
I'd have to, it was, I know the decommissioning agreement, and I think the economic development agreement as well. And they're in the process of doing another one too, so. And when I spoke with Mr. Hall had indicated that they got about 20 different projects throughout the state that they're involved in, either on the county level or and maybe in one instance for the developers level.
For the developer as well?
On the developer side. So it's not new and upcoming anymore, it's here.
So you don't believe it's as simple as putting it on our letterhead, ordinance number, whatever?
No, I
Putting the state-
think the ordinance can be that simple, yes, but I think that there's going to be, again, there's some more that goes along with it, like we've talked about before. If they wanted to come to the county council and request an abatement, then we can put a little bit more there, as well as maybe something in our road use agreements for additional assistance to avoid some recent concerns we've had on other projects.
For our purposes, do you believe that you could have the ordinance prepared at our next meeting?
I know that we might be,
We'll be down to 2 people again. I won't be at the next meeting.
to take a look at as well. It's just, I remember that we'll have all 3 at the 20th meeting, but that doesn't mean we I can't have a
Not
draft
that you
for
can't
everybody.
approve it if the 2 of you are in agreement with it.
Do you have any issue with it? Have you read the law?
I
Scanned it?
scanned it, yes. I'm familiar with it. I've seen reviews on it, that sort of thing. I guess, what we've said before, it's better than nothing. And that's all we have to do. The only issue that I kind of have with the whole thing is the word solar ready, the phrase solar ready. And, I get it, that's kind of what is in it, but I don't want it to sound like we are promoting, that we are taking a stand to promote solar development in the county necessarily. As far as I'm concerned, I'm taking a neutral stand on that. But this law is our only method of having any kind of protection as far as development is concerned, and I think that's important.
Right. In that term, as you know, we've kind of discussed before, it's built within the statute. That's a defined term in the opening section of the statute. It's just their term of art to say that it may not actually be solar ready, but yes, like what you refer to is included within the definition section of that code.
Solar ready, meaning we've adopted that section.
Solar energy ready community.
Solar ready, yeah. Okay. That term kind of bothers me a little bit, but the law itself is more than what we have.
Of the option of doing it or not doing it,
I would do it.
doing it is the,
What code is that?
For that portion, as of July 1st, that will be one more page, sorry. 8-1-42.
again, I guess it doesn't matter. I just kind of want to get it done, but it won't be effective until July 1st, whenever we approve it, so it doesn't make much difference, I suppose.
I will have a draft to you before the first June meeting to look at, and
Whether you consider it then or consider the second one, really, you guys not me.
Works for me.
Okay.
Public access request form. That's on the agenda, so
I drafted one, and since our last meeting, I think we kind of copy fees and costs associated with those have kind of been piecemeal throughout the years, as we've seen in our ordinance. So if those were all forwarded out to, I think, the department heads to make sure that they were aware of those. I know the recorder's office has specific ones by statute, which are different, and then the council passed resolutions that affirm those. That actually came up last week in a public records request that decided that those that can't get them for free from the county. And dealing with some other recent ones, if there's minimal charge, then they can be waived because I won't say the nuisance, but the bookkeeping of receiving in $2 may not be worth the time and energy.
So every office should be aware of what the rules and
Correct.
standards are. They've been sent out.
Well, I sent these out.
And then you sent the form to them as well.
So do we, I guess at this point, should we formally approve the record request letter as the standard form to be used by?
So the choice you have there, because again, a lot of the requests that we do get are simply in electronic mail format where they're telling us what it is they want. If you want the form as a go-to for those that don't do it that way, that's one option. The other option is any request we get, we forward back to them, this record request form, to fill out and then return to us. I don't know that that's necessary because typically, one, that's creating an additional thing that we need to do, and then we're receiving a request again. I would look at this form as more of a, for the individual or for the citizen or consumer that doesn't have email, shows up in person, that here's a form that they can utilize. The bulk of every request we've had in the past 3 whatever years have all been in electronic or letter format, and it's by and large clear and concise what it is they're looking for and how they want it returned to them. So our form wouldn't add to that.
So it could be a form if someone sent a letter that said, I'd like financial documents from the county, where we would have thousands. We could send this back and say, please provide more specific
Right.
guidance for us to provide.
Correct, and we've done that on a couple of requests where they're just overly broad and asked that they be more precise in their request, as the statute would require. And again, typically we don't get, I don't see large, voluminous phishing requests. They're usually pretty concise to date, a time range, whether it's email correspondence, whether it's just financial information, which is available on Gateway, which typically also is one of the benefits that we have is that all we have is there, and we can send them a web address where they can search for that information also without producing any additional documentation.
The amount of transparency today is greater than it was 15 years ago. It's a lot easier for people because we upload everything of any
Correct.
significance.
You just have to go look for it.
And the same thing occurred, during the COVID era. The health department was maintaining multitude of stats, and it was easy to simply cite them to that area in that direction because they were all maintained in one central location. And our typical responses are also that if, we feel like this is sufficient. If it's not, please get back with us and, let us know.
So do you want to just say that this is an approved form? Just for the record, we have an approved form. If a department needs to use it, we're welcome to use it. If they don't need it, if someone is requesting something and it's
If we were to receive a request and it was unclear, I believe then we could send the form back with that as an initial response that, please kind of narrow your scope down and tell us what it is you're looking for and send it back to us.
in reality, a consumer could come in with their own handwritten request, as long as it meets those same minimum requirements, we're fine. We have to know where to send it, what they want.
Yes.
I really don't wanna make them only use that form.
Right,
Because then
correct.
it puts in another layer of problem.
Yeah, we have.
Right.
Okay. So, just for the record, I can say this is the form that is an approved form. We'll just keep it as simple as that. We don't need to say that it's required, but it's available. So I'll move that we use the public access request form as an allowable form to be used by county departments.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So too, I guess that means we put a copy of it with the minutes for this. If the public wants to see it, it's available there, or if an office needs to find it, it'll be within the minutes.
And then, was there discussion about adding it to our website in the forms section?
Yeah.
So we can have it there as well, and we can direct them to that site if they would like.
So you made a motion?
Yes. Just that it's an acceptable form. If someone wants it on the website, they don't want to create their own, then that would be fine for them for the public to use there as well. Need a break?
Nope, I'm good.
Same thing, we have sent that in Word and PDF, you're given, you need a different way.
And if Marky could make it fillable, it'd be nice for the site. All right, we'll just move on to the next item if you're okay with that. Cybersecurity pilot program update.
Hello,
Hello.
Good morning, Tammy.
good morning, how are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Sandy and I are here together on this to talk about, the next step in this cyber security community ready program. And we need to, we're making a request to have a department head meeting in June so that we can bring in Shatrice to meet with all the department heads. She'd like to meet everyone at the meeting, and then she wants to go to each department. She doesn't just want to go walk in and, we want to give everybody a heads up in the county of what's happening. Sandy, I mean,
I just think it's better to introduce her before she just randomly shows up
right.
and starts talking about computer security.
And she can kind of give them an overview then of exactly what would be expected. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just wants to go in and kind of see how everybody, what their thoughts and worries are with cybersecurity within their office, because it's not all just about what we're doing, like the know before and those kind of things. So we just need to come up with a date that you all approve that we can send out and get some people to attend this meeting.
What was the leader of the program? What was their name again?
Shatrice Romero, Mosley Romero.
Commissioner Brown, when is our regular schedule? I'm trying to think.
I'm just looking at
July,
It's
yeah.
July 20.
So this will be a special department head meeting for the sole purpose of this.
Yeah,
Could we just move the July meeting to June? Would we want to do that? Instead of having back to back.
I mean, we could do that.
That
Whatever
makes
you
more
guys
sense
think.
because we haven't had
A ton
a
of,
lot of things that need to be shared that way.
you know, department heads are busy too, and, you know, I think those meetings are valuable, but, you know, let's make sure they're needed. Instead of having back to back, I think if we move it to June, and give them a reason why we're moving it to June. And,
Yeah, she just really wants to get this thing kicked off, so she didn't want, we talked about the July, and it's kind of, they want to get going and they don't want to wait.
The ultimate goal is to get this project totally completed before the end of the year. So that's why she's anxious to go ahead and move forward and get the county input, so.
so is there a date in June you'd like to go?
No, we didn't come up with a date, we came to you first, we didn't even discuss a date.
We just kind of told her we do start at like at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was fine with all that, so.
Do we want to keep it on a Wednesday like we normally do, or a Monday? anybody have a preference?
I think we're gonna have to go into like the second week of June, if anything, because we have wellness the first week. Not the first week, but the week of the 6th is what wellness, all of our
The week of
wellness
the
stuff.
6th is the wellness.
Yeah,
We have health screenings and a
Yeah.
construction meeting that day as well, so 15th would probably be better.
that's my opinion.
Okay.
Commissioner Robinson, is it your turn or next
I
turn?
think it's next turn. I think I would be available that morning if Nick is not. I could rearrange my schedule. I actually have something at 8 o'clock, but I can move that. I assume you're talking about an 8 o'clock meeting or 8:30.
I would think that
Yeah.
that's what works best for the department heads, really. We informed her that it would be early in the morning, so. So that will be a big part of the process. She's gonna meet with the department heads, just based on the conversation that we had, the meeting we had with her last week. She will meet with them and then we will regroup, and Purdue University has a lot of college students that are going to be helping with this project as well. And hopefully they'll be working with Matrix to get what they need on their assessment side of it. I think just meeting with the department heads, that's about all our input's gonna have to be at that point for this project. Now, on the other side, I have this grant going, the cybersecurity grant, and we're gonna be writing a plan. I'm hoping to try to combine the two so we're not duplicating work. So I'm in the process. I just got an email last night about what Purdue's role is gonna be, and I'm gonna work with Ron and Rob Wildman with Matrix and Sandy to see what their thoughts are on that process.
No, I think that'll be fine, and at our next meeting, you won't be here,
I
correct?
won't be here. So if you'll check with Nick and make sure he's able to host that one. Like I said, if not, I am available, but I won't be here next meeting to be part of that discussion.
We'll let Commissioner Hostetter know it's his turn. If he can't make it, then we'll put you on. So Sandy, would you mind putting that just on your bulk section, like the 9 o'clock stuff, where we can put a bunch of things in for 10
I'm gonna
minutes?
start to do that since you only want 5 minutes.
I like that. Yeah, that's much better. We can just do that for 10 minutes. I'd rather fit it in. I'd rather condense our meetings if possible and for everyone's time.
Well,
Do you
we
have any
start getting
idea
into
how
budgets,
much
so they're
time
gonna
she
get a little
will-
longer.
I think it's gonna be up to the department head themselves, honestly. I think she'll give them some initial, let's get started questions, and then I think from there it'll just depend on how big the department is and how what their concerns are. I think that's gonna be what it mostly is what their concerns are of cybersecurity and what can be done to make them feel better and more at ease with their worries, so.
Well, and as far as I'd be concerned, you can have the whole meeting. I don't know if there's anything else from the auditor's office or Markey has anything that he needs to meet with department heads. But at the same time, we don't,
And I don't think she'll take an hour
we
to
don't want
talk
to bring
about
department
this.
heads in for a 5-minute meeting.
Yeah.
So we wanted to.
Yeah.
Be a substantial meeting.
I always like the idea of giving everyone, all department heads,
Sure.
a minute if they want to pass around the room so people can keep up with each other.
That always works, yeah.
But we will schedule it for June 15th.
June 15th at 8 o'clock in the morning then, and then one of you guys will be there to
Yes.
support it. That's,
You did do the last one, didn't you? I thought that's, talking about whose turn it is, I thought that was.
So in this room, if it's available.
either this room or the annex is fine, or the conference room downstairs is fine as well.
Where'd you meet the last time?
Up here, but that was because
The
elections were going on downstairs, so.
Yeah, the annex probably works, or the room downstairs probably works a little better than the table or anything.
Yeah. So I'll let Sandy reserve that and we'll move from there.
Okay.
That was all I had, unless you guys have anything else on the cybersecurity or anything else with the EMA.
Appreciate you working with them and taking the lead on it.
Well, it's really Sandy and I together.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything without calling her up and making sure she's in.
We appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I just feel like our county's
Yeah,
We
we
got
are
risk assessment, we were what, 80-some percent?
87.5%
So
already.
that already says we're doing things right.
And that could have been me answering questions that weren't right either. And that- because it said, do not ask for help for this survey the first time you do it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it. And I did, and we got 87.5. So just think if I would have asked for professional advice, we might have got 100%.
We might have got 10% or under.
Anyway, all right, well, that's all we needed. Sandy, there wasn't anything else, was there?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day. Good to see you.
Yep, we have 15 minutes here.
Sorry. I
Is
tried.
there something with the website we need to discuss?
I just brought this over.
I sent a
Our
few
end of
comments
the
before
contract
I
is in May. I have kind of reached out to a few people to kind of look out, but I mean, I didn't know if you wanted to do more. Our one thing says July and he said May, so I don't really know when the end is. I don't know if it was when we first signed it or when they went live. I'm still trying to figure that part out, but I haven't really talked to them
Yes,
since.
what we got here, this is the original.
But they did send the new contract and it did go up.
It says website hosting for both sites. For both sides. Yeah.
So I said, I just got that. Put our open set.
This one says 31.
See, you did a lot of
35
work on it, I don't know much about it, so.
So the web, $285 a year.
Yeah, and he said it would probably go up 10%, that would make sense, that's what it was last year. He told me it's probably go up about 10%. But if we sign for 5 years, then it's stuck at that for 5 years.
They'll keep the, where we're at now.
No, this is what we were, and he
Right.
said we'd probably go up 10%, and then
No.
that will be
Right.
locked in for 5 years.
I think it makes sense to stick with them. Because if we went with someone new with a new design and a new template, maybe it's significant.
Now, they are gonna
That's
change
right.
things, I guess, we
Right.
just have to decide what, you know, and I know you said some things.
Would you like to look at?
Well, I think we talked before that we haven't received, or I haven't received any significant comment on our website that it needs improvement or that it's not doing what it needs to do.
From the public or from?
Either one, either side.
Now, right,
Did you get any other feedback from other people you sent it to? So I looked at some of the other updated websites that they had and sent feedback, so if you wanted to review those, I think, did you send that to everyone or just me?
I don't remember,
I don't remember.
might have just been you. But I did forward it out to a couple of people you asked, a couple of people you asked. Sean, Mike,
You did send it to me. I reviewed the, everyone's unit report, he and Sam is on.
Okay, I think it was just, it was sent to me from Sandy and Brooke, so maybe we could forward this to commissioners and they can look at it if they want.
See, when you first worked with him, I don't know what all, I wasn't in that conversation, so it's hard for me to know what we need to do this time.
Well, this time it should be considerably different because we have
Right. Something already
they
there.
have all of our data and it's,
Like when he showed Brooke and I on a webinar, he said like the scroll button, we could put buttons and we could put more on the front page. And he said people don't like to dig in and, you know, they don't want to click to click to click. They want click and access. So he was showing us things like that. They said it's really up to us what we want and what we want it to look like. Now, Brett and I don't know what that company's name was,
oh,
about the ADA compliance of ours.
did you go through that last week?
Yeah, I went through it.
And how was that?
Expensive.
It's more expensive than our site.
Must be good.
Moncito is who they're with. But they did make a couple points because Revise is ADA compliant with their backbone of their stuff. So the way everything's set up, where everything's but when I put information in from the highway department, isn't technically ADA because it's all the body that's in there. Is that part of Revise's contract? Neither Sandy nor I knew if that was true. If Revise went through the whole thing to verify that it was ADA compliant. They did a quick report and they found how many years?
Well,
It would,
Revised gave me the ADA compliance report and they found some things wrong. And they fixed those and they said they fixed all A and AA high level errors.
okay, which is AA was what they would put us at, right?
I think so.
And it was, I forgot that paper at the office.
But then Moncito went through and they found misspellings and they found broken link. And
I do think it's a good thing, but it's expensive for what we're getting.
What are we talking about expensive?
$5,000.
$5,000. Everything's at least.
But they said they could give you monthly reports and you could, and I said, nobody's gonna sit there monthly and go in and fix.
And they wouldn't alter, because she mentioned, when we do it every 6 months, give us a report. And I said, no, it's how often you look at it, it's how often. We give it to you weekly, I think actually what it
Yeah,
was.
and it was like, nobody's gonna go in there every week and
Look through it.
it's just not gonna happen.
Right.
Cause I said, once a year, it'd be nice to have a report and say, here's what you got, but they.
Right. So there was some value to it. How much value? That's to be determined. It was just a shade under $5,000, was it?
Cause I told her, I said, man, that's more expensive than the site.
Well, initially the site was 16, but.
But I
our
mean, the monthly
yearly.
or the yearly support for it. And if Revise is supposed to be making sure it's ADA
But
compliant.
that's what we need is somebody to speak with Revise and find out what are they looking at. Are they looking at just their structure of their website, or are they looking at the body of what we put in there as well? If that is ADA compliant, then we don't need Moncito. But if it's not, we might have to look into it.
So I guess the question is, do you guys want to sign with another 5 years with them? I mean, they're gonna give us a refresh, but we won't have it if we don't.
Right, so, yeah. And that's what I was saying, I think I'm comfortable with them, I don't know, I don't have a reason not to be. And, unless the ADA part of it is a reason not to.
I like their system. I'm not gonna lie. Revise's system is easy to use. It takes me, when I haven't used it in a while, it takes me a minute to get back into it. But then once I'm back in it, it's not bad at all.
Mr. Sherry, you reviewed the contract?
I had a couple of comments I shared with Sandy.
And they have not given me the changed one yet, so. I think there's some Michigan instead of Indiana or something like that. That's what we're saying.
So we paid that 610. do 7:10, so they're probably just trying to get us on before the old one runs out. But I think I'm fine to wait until we get the final updated ones. Maybe we can put it on the next miscellaneous stuff for the next time. That would also give Commissioner Bromwich a chance to look over those websites, give any feedback. I mean, I think those are two different.
Well, they gave us like 5 or 6 other websites to look at and say, hey, I like this, I like this, I like this, but they really didn't.
Okay,
Those are kind of two separate issues. One, are we gonna stay with them is the first issue. Two, when we stay with them, or if we do, then what changes would we like to make? You can look at whatever little feedback I provided.
okay.
All right, let's go ahead with the Veteran Service Officer introduction. We're a little ahead of schedule, but I think that's okay. You come on up. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just for the record, who are you? And
My name is Susan Bramlett. I'm the new Veteran Service Officer. I'm very happy to be there. I just wanted to come in and introduce myself. You know who I am. Thank you for the face to the
Appreciate that.
for the job. Yeah. So far it's been going really well. Been busy. So, which is good. Just a little about myself. I'm a 20-year retired Coast Guard. Been all over. Found my way into Jasper, Indiana. I don't really know where the water is, but we'll get there. But as of today, I just want to let you know I've got about 42 pending cases. 25 I've taken over from Mary, and 17 are mine, and that's just from the first of the month. So we're rolling in it. It's been going well. Just getting caught up on computer training, trying just to get bits and pieces and little things into the job. And I have been doing claims for about 3 years anyway, so that part's coming easy to me. Just all the little extra tidbits that I'm trying to work out. So. I do have some training coming up the end of the month, first of next. So I'll be up in Indy for that, which will be great.
And I believe I probably mentioned it, but anytime that the office hours change or something modifies, I just ask that you contact me and the auditor's office, put something on your word, on your voicemail, and probably on your auto reply on your email, just so people know where you're at and when you'll be back. Because we know some people in the community keep an eye on that, and we want them to know when we're there and when we're not there, right?
Right.
So that sounds good. And as you're aware, I think I was out the last week, and I think you sent me some emails with what I asked the office to do was get your feet wet, and I believe she's got her feet soaked, and give me some feedback of what kind of things they would need in that office to keep it going strong, to make it better or the best it can be. And I believe you've sent me something, and I'll review that this week, and maybe at an upcoming commissioners meeting, we'll see what those steps would take to implement those. One thing I think would be if there's a need for some part-time help to do some things, so you can process claims, work with veterans, somebody else can do. I think you probably would outline better than what I could, because there's some administrative kind of things that we could do for 15 hours a week that would probably make the efficiency of that office the best. And if we did bring in a person for whatever, however that role would look, would the person, Mr. Hensley that we talked about before, is that something you think he would be interested in, or is this something we'd still look for, or you're not sure at this time?
I'm not really sure at this time. I would like to try to get something for about 3 days a week, just for time, maybe 15, 20 hours, maybe 15 for 3 days, just maybe to administer phone calls and kind of be an assistant, filter people a little bit and schedule people, just the initial bombardment coming through the door. Right now, I'm taking a lot of walk-ins while I'm my days are completely booked with interviews. So when I have a walk-in, it's disrupting their time, it's taking away from their vet time with me. So,
Or do you think site-wise or facility-wise, how would that work?
just off the top of my head right now, it'd be nice just to have somebody else in the office, maybe up front. I could forward my phone to them, You know, I'm gonna have a laptop, so if they need computer work, they can work on that as well. But, you know, just somebody to field and,
Maybe just somebody sitting out in the
meet and greet.
lobby area.
Yeah.
With a little table in front of them and they can talk to whoever
Yeah.
comes in.
Anybody with the actual veteran experience would be wonderful, just because, I mean, we talk the talk, you know, I don't have to reinvent the wheel with the vet.
And
So,
my thought from the beginning was that the money coming from Mr. Rudolph, that those funds, if it's only $3,000 a year or in that range, could cover this.
yeah, that would be,
Go ahead, sorry, Mr. Brown.
Well, I was gonna say, I know you mentioned Monday, what days are the offices open now?
I'm
Tuesday,
still,
Wednesday, Thursday?
yes, sir, I'm still on Gary's schedule, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I've been coming in on Fridays just to catch up, and I'm not catching up. I'm probably gonna work today just to, you know, I gotta get through some of these packets before the vets come in and sign, so.
So, an additional help with that, increase those office hours as well, or just, help during the time that it is open?
I'm not really sure right now. I think, well, because I'm only allotted so many hours for being part-time, so I wanted to stay within that parameter.
Sure.
So I'm trying to squeeze as much in for me as I can, but if I can get somebody for like Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that would be great. Yeah,
So no expansion of hours, just an assistant at the time that you're in there.
yeah, that would be wonderful.
So I think it's at least something to consider. Do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't, I think, you know, we were considering it when Gary was here, and our position was that let you, as you said, get your feet wet and find out what you feel your needs are, and then we would reconsider moving forward. So whenever you're at that point and where you concrete know what it is that you would like to see us do, then I'd like to hear that proposal.
Okay.
Should we move forward with this? Cindy, is there any issue using those new line items that we have?
We have to have it council. I mean, I don't have them advertised for
Right.
salary or anything like that, so you're talking with the end of June before we can do anything like that.
But as far as the count, if we could create it, say fund it out of that. So we probably,
I don't know if you have a job description, wage classification.
Well, I
Because
did
I
a
know
little,
we're changing your wage classification.
well, I did a little bit of research on that. I mean, the person who's gonna be in is not gonna have a lot of technical worries. So, I mean, even if we're talking $12.50, $13 an hour for, 15 hours a week, you know, that might be doable if it's up good on your end.
I think in this time, that's pretty minimum.
It is minimum.
Well, if you want 15 hours a week, that's not even barely 2 days.
and you were thinking 5 hours, 3 days in a row. something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
just
right?
something simple, nothing.
Well, I wasn't talking about hours, I'm talking about the salary.
It is low end, but I'm also trying to worry about budget, you know. It just,
I mean, we're looking for part-time high school help
or,
at that rate.
or a retired vet that just wants to be out of the house for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, whatever is doable,
Sure.
we're great, but yeah, that's the low end of the stick.
So like I said, I didn't review what you sent me yet, I haven't done that, but I will, and the only thing I guess I would request from you is possibly if you work with Marquis, HR a little bit, and say, hey, here's some of the roles I think this job would take on. Can you help me with either job description or wage range where these people fit?
Yeah, he could be the person who knows the rest of the county and what's going on in the rest of the county and how that job would fit.
Okay.
I mean, I personally want to support this. I think it's a good idea. And as I mentioned when you were going through the interview process, I'm excited about the office and the direction it's going. Gary was doing a good job. I think you're continuing with that. And we
And
need to-
Gary is no longer transitioning, right? He's no longer a county
He's no
employee.
longer a county employee.
Okay. I don't know if he's still involved with what you're doing, but
No, just.
He's offered to volunteer and help.
advisory role or something. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a phone call away, so I have been using him, you know. Yeah, so,
So would we, the next meeting would be the first in June, right? And then. So we don't have another meeting until
6th or something like that, isn't it?
June 6th.
So there is no drive.
It's a 3-week span again.
yeah, somebody like another disabled vet that is unemployable. We have a lot of unemployability due to complications from their service, would just maybe like to get out of the house, a little part-time, contribute back to the vets.
Right. So I think if we would, I don't know, it would probably be best if you came back again, because then you could answer our questions on the 6th meeting, and I would be prepared if the footwork was done to get a wage range and a basic job description with you and Mr. Rhodes, then I would be prepared to consider it at that meeting. I think in 6th, are you here? The 6th, that's the one you're not here.
But again,
You'd have to, I'm pretty sure unless it's really foul it up, I think you're gonna have my support, but Commissioner Hofstadter, we'd have to say that it's a good idea with him, and if it fails, then we could take a full board look at it on the 20th.
so along that line, whatever you could do to fill him in and keep me abreast, even though I won't be here, but, as well as to where you're going with this. Maybe if you develop a job description and a wage range, let us know what that's going to be, what your proposal is going to be.
And in that case, even though we know Mr. Brahms won't be here on June 6th, if he had strong feelings, I would respect that and hold off till the 20th, but I don't want to hold it off any further than we have to, because that just means you're going to be getting even further underwater. That's one of the good things and bad things about government. It moves slowly.
Right.
So,
Well, the council can't really do a job salary ordinance until you guys create it, so.
so if we were to create it on the 6th, does that give enough time for the council, and I would assume they're meeting on the 27th to fund it? That'd be 3 weeks.
As long as I can get advertised, because we have to advertise for an additional for the salary.
Right.
Because we have to get to the paper a week before. It has to be in there at least 10 days before, and then you have to go a week back to get it to the paper.
Is there a way to fund the wages of that person out of this same salary until?
No, because it doesn't have enough now.
Okay. I just trying to look for,
Because we're trying to get her an increase, because we had an overlap, and plus we're giving her an increase.
Sounds like there would be enough days in there, but it would be cutting it close. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think there is enough.
Oh, okay. From the 6th to the 20,
you'd have to advertise 2 Wednesdays. Is that
Oh,
what
you mean for the advertisement, as long as
Yeah.
I know on the 6th, we go to the press probably that Thursday.
the 27th is the council meeting,
That's correct.
correct?
Be the last Monday of the month.
Last Monday of the month. Yep. So that'd be 21 days.
Yes, council's the 27th. So we'd have to go to the press here, so that'd be that week.
That's doable. Okay. Yep, I think that'll be the case. Sandy, do you have a time available for?
For the next meeting.
For the June 6th meeting? So we'll just have it as PSO part-time.
Depends when she wants to come in. I've got time's open, so.
Do you prefer 8 o'clock, 8:30, 8:45, 9:15,
9:15 would be great.
9:15? And what would the county policy be on if someone wanted to volunteer some time? I know we have volunteers that come out to solid waste occasionally, and sometimes they're not volunteers, I guess they volunteer. Even if it's somebody doing community service, they're volunteering to come to that location, and we allow that. If somebody wanted to volunteer time to help in there between now and then, do we have an issue with that?
I mean,
I don't know.
unless there's a legal issue or an accounting issue or something like that I don't have an issue with.
Mr. Schneider, what do you think?
I would think it would depend upon what they're doing. If they were coming out to solid waste and they were doing physical labor or anything along those lines, then maybe we have a different issue. But the subject came up during the COVID, and the health department had a number of volunteers that came out, as far as what insurance would cover, workman's comp, things of that nature. If you're not an employee, then it's not, you don't get the workman's comp, if I recall. So there are some limitations there. We can insure certain things even though they are volunteers, like the work that they do, or but they would not get workers' comp because they're not employees.
No,
Something more along the lines of liability.
Correct.
Standing behind the work that they do or
Correct. That's an example. I think I assisted with the, if I didn't get people parked correctly at one of the clinics, or I had traffic backed up, and, my inabilities to do so would have been covered. If I would have been hit, I wouldn't have got workers' comp, but they would have covered me too.
right. So if that is a situation too, that is possible, if that might be a Band-Aid until it can become official.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I'll keep them away from the shredder.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a welcome, here are the services that we provide, and it's not, they're not digging into computers and into county equipment.
Or HIPAA or any of that.
Yeah, if they're just doing very basic introductory things to say, hey, it looks like if they have your schedule in front of them and they say, looks like Ms. Bramlett's not available until next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Can you come back then? Those kind of things might be useful to you so you don't get your appointment interrupted.
That'd be great.
And yeah,
It's still rolling.
yeah, things could still roll. So just something that I thought about if you wanted to consider that. Otherwise, I think we'll see you back on June 6th, and we will get additional data from you between now and then.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we have 7 minutes until we do ambulance bid openings.
Maybe I'll take a quick break then.
Okay?
For the bids.
That one bid? Excellent.
No, that's the road they're gonna utilize. I don't know, they haven't told us, where the parks are gonna be, these are just the roads they're gonna utilize during the chart. Yeah, it doesn't show where the parks are going. That's why they made it sound to us.
Why would you consider
Just the ones we've always.
Yeah.
So that's where it counts.
I can see some tax abatements. But it goes back out.
Right, I get that. Hey, Brent,
Can I borrow your, larger letter opener?
It's only.
why don't you just sign a release?
You don't want this fancy one?
I don't know if that's gonna do it on this guy.
Did you hang on for any weapons in the courthouse?
It's under, next.
Yeah, and we have spoken to him before. The order that.
I'm afraid I don't give you those.
Well, that is a
I think from now on, I'll start with
It floated away.
because like today, it's really hard to film when you don't have.
And then close it off. I think there was some discussion about. Well, the other maybe honest calling social specking, they'll go in there. I feel like it will show the single bit of along the way.
That's all sign up before business.
So if you're ever down that way, easily that's.
Your contract.
Feel it out.
A lot of things to do before that. Arizona's going to graduate.
Okay.
Well, I gotta get anniversary.
On Saturday. We leave on Monday, but what I'm gonna say is other grandparents are coming into town, staying with us, so. So that they're on the way at their house.
Right.
So we have to get everything done before all that weekend starts. We're ready to go Monday morning. Even bright early on Monday morning.
I'd say you probably will be. Where are you flying out of?
Nashville. But the tour group has got a bus from Jasper to Nashville.
Oh, hey, that's even better.
So we just meet up,
That's right.
pull the family out there and from there on
Well,
out.
they give
That's
us.
really good deal. And they drive a car or anything like that. Like that, so you don't go across from there.
No, we're at Atlanta.
Okay.
Paris, and then Budapest. And then we'll get on the Danube,
Okay.
get on the Danube and sail west. And then we get into Germany.
Okay.
And then somewhere there we get off and go on to
If
that.
you take anything else,
Over on Gone.
I mean, once we get the monument, then it'll all go to be a central monument, but then you're not building up the fund for the monument.
I think we fly out of Munich,
Well, if you go
Munich,
in, if you go
Amsterdam,
into each
Detroit.
one, you can transfer it back and forth.
back to Nashville.
You're making me go,
Yeah,
holy cow.
Well, the thing is.
That'd be cool.
yeah.
Foundation
That'd be
doesn't
really
put it
cool.
in
Yeah,
there
there's
when
a
you want.
whole group
Like I
of
said,
local people.
Right.
Sandy Lincoln, River, going and Bob and Sharon Fielder, Stan and
But
University.
you can transfer it.
Doc Holster and.
Oh, they're going to, yeah. You will know a lot of people in. So then you guys go out, you get on that boat. How big is that boat then? Is that a big cruise vessel?
Yeah, it's a river cruise.
Okay, so it's gonna
I don't
carry
know,
1,000 people.
150 people of it or something, maybe more than that. Passenger plus crew, of course.
Right.
We've been on one of those before. And yeah, it's not an ocean cruise by any means, but it's, a couple hundred passengers.
Okay. I know the culture, but we'll call and make sure there's no additional kids over there. Or food boxes. I say boxes, not.
Did you receive any?
It just doesn't look good.
Okay, thanks, bye.
I look like a kid on Christmas morning. I'm more nervous.
Yeah, it's almost kind of. It's 10 o'clock and we will have ambulance bid opening. It appears that we've received a single bid. County ambulance coordinator is here with Ryan Young.
Well protected. Bids were advertised for, publisher's affidavit received by the auditor's office, one bid. That bid came from American Response Vehicles out of Columbia, Missouri. The bid is in the amount, it is for a 2023 AEV Traumahawk Type 1 custom ambulance, Ford F550, 4x4 diesel, price in the amount of $326,195.93, 326,195.93, less AEV Ford ARV discounts. I don't know if there's a trade, but a deduction of $7,221 for a total bid price of $318,974.93. 318,974.93.
While Mr. Schneider looks to see if the bid's in order, how many vendors are there for these kind of vehicles generally?
I have no idea. This is the company that we've always dealt with, the bid, but I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot. I would hate to make a guess.
So that is a discount or what was it?
Oh, the deduction.
I called it a deduction.
Okay.
Deduction, that's trade-in value, right?
Is there a
I
trade?
don't think there was a trade-in on that, no.
It was a discount. It said less AEV, Ford, and ARV discounts. I apologize, I'm not well versed enough in the industry to know what those stand for.
I'm just gonna purchase.
So is the assumption today that we will take this bid under advisement, you'll review it to make sure that everything is in order, we will award the bid at a subsequent meeting? Is that what the idea would be?
I would agree with that, yes. Obviously, there's a lot here. You put together the specs to make sure the specs are met. I did find here they did have their bid bond. It's a little more difficult than I thought.
It's better than this, a road grader.
Pretty
It's
similar.
better than a road grader.
There's no additional documentation that came with this, is that correct?
Translator. Should email me. The phone is on the way. Pretty much.
Didn't make me, I'm not better or cheaper than that, but.
Just include certain documents in the phone. It's $4.95, the non-collusion application. And the bid bond for a cashier's check.
If they can make it work.
Mr. Winnow, can I borrow your eyes? See you still?
It'd be cheaper to get accessories for that. You can get a keyboard, you get them out. Yeah. I'd say we might as well try that first. If it works. $10,000, this is pretty substantial. Still don't want to.
I don't know how much time I have to devote to this website, that's what's, because you know how it is.
Yeah, you can put me on it again, I don't care.
Did you talk with him or
I'll
no?
choose up to the same thing. I'm looking, like I
What,
said,
what we
we're
talked about
going
on a meeting, we had a meeting, we had, I think we had a room full one time.
Well, I was just talking to him. I mean, I don't know. Just like, put it over.
I think what we would do really is, I'd be responsible for giving them something to do. And we would give them a little list of things that we want, that we don't have now. And they would give us an update.
So we should stop.
And they would give us one, we would say, oh, like this, we would buy it, and we would order two of those.
So they can tell you what they have or what they do.
Brian, do you happen to remember, I've been trying to look here at what a vehicle cost last time we purchased one.
The price of this one, we still have a cop to get and some other pieces, but the price of the one we just took was $219. But the cop would be right around 45, so it's probably gonna be 260, 270 by the time we're done.
The first one we bought,
The one we just took
for it.
The one we just took purchase of.
Are you thinking this one's a third higher than the last one we bought?
So, yeah, so was what, 318? That was about probably 270.
Oh, this one has the car, this has all that in it?
Yes, that has all that.
No.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, this time, we didn't have that in the last one, but this time we put that in this one.
Okay.
And do you guys have to get it marked and all that?
No, they do all that.
They do all that, that's good.
Did you anticipate this? Is this the budgeted price or is this higher than you?
No, this is about what
you anticipated?
I think we had like 305, where it's like, last time is what we had, what we just took ownership of.
You got one.
But this one, I think we budgeted 330 or
Oh, it's 350.
350, something like that.
We got any further on the parks?
Paying REC, our road process paying REC that first one. No, I haven't, nobody's claimed it yet. And we put in there, they had to send in a claim form. I did put in for the trash, so hopefully.
insurance.
Hopefully that's on its way.
Last week.
I think it's next week, isn't it, from here? Up to 21st or something,
Okay,
so it's not here yet.
so we've requested it, brought it up. Mr. Ramos, are you gonna have any other business?
I'm not. And, did Mike took off, didn't he? I was not at the, jail, construction update meeting last week, so I don't know what went on there, but I talked to Mike a little bit, he said nothing unusual, so.
Run out of time.
Down to 3 and 9.
So I'll be available.
Yeah,
Whether
whether
you actually on the jury.
Jury.
I was called to jury duty tomorrow, I have to report it either way.
you get an exemption. Good job,
I think so.
no, that's all.
So hopefully I'll be available tomorrow.
Get a good night's rest.
What do? You stand in the hallway, do they call you to see if you're,
I just have to report to circuit court at 8 a.m.
that's it, where they're lined up down? Remember, I mean, when they had, depending on how big of a pool
I
to
don't
start
know,
with.
they won't even have them, so I can't. I can't.
That was previous units they sold. This is just previous units they sold.
All of it's not.
Okay.
You don't get bond, there's no certificate guarantee or, and there's no non-collusion. Okay, which means,
Yeah, they kind of did that with that.
we only have two, that's one. Or we reject all of them before they're not.
So let's start.
Well,
You would, yes, I know.
kind of. Especially if we don't have a bid on it. You know. And again. I didn't see it, so. It would have to come with that, they don't have anything else to do on this. And we don't have anything that comes with in addition to this. So, I think that's what
So you get the copies.
Oh,
yeah, it's already for you
I gave you this one. I should have all these.
it should.
You don't lose the
Right.
It says ours is 10 cents, ours is 25 cents, which is 50 cents.
Sign.
all of this and our stuff.
It's also piece of it.
We're doing, I mean, these are our, this is our spec sheet, we're at business, and all this is what we're.
Checks.
Our ordinance.
Well, typically, you jump out of
Mr. There, we trying to determine if it's a acceptable bid.
I do not believe it would be considered a responsive bid. The bid request called for Indiana Form 95, including non-collusion affidavit and a certified cashier check or a bid bond in the amount of 10%. As thorough a review as we have done, we are unable to find all of that information, which unfortunately would mean it's not responsive. My recommendation would be based upon the importance of this, but also the price that's involved with it. We don't waive any formalities. We would have to rebid it out and reach out to stand. We got 3 weeks until the next meeting, so I'd say that we would reject this as non-responsive and bid it again.
What's our other option?
None?
Without it, there's not a 10% sure, there's not a 10%.
That's your big, probably the biggest thing, I think.
I would agree with you on that.
What does that mean? So 10%, if they don't deliver, we get to keep the 10%?
It can offset any sort of additional cost, things like that, that we.
Yeah, or we bid and buy another equipment that's higher, we can take that off, but,
Did they mention anything within the document that you saw that's like, we didn't do that? Or
Nothing that jumped out again. It's it's pretty dense. Most of it are specs that we put together themselves. However, I mean, again, we advertised for it that those things were required and they're not there.
So if we reject today, the next steps would be to advertise again, tell this vendor that the bid was not acceptable as it was.
Correct.
Is there any,
the nice part is that you have 3 weeks, so you have to advertise it twice.
Yes.
So if you could somehow get it in Wednesday's paper and next Wednesday's
It's not
paper.
gonna happen.
It won't happen.
It had to be there by last week.
Even for the Herald,
They don't come out on Monday, they're on Tuesday. I don't know, I don't know that answer.
do they have the right,
We could schedule it. I mean, to keep it moving. Not that you want a special meeting, but you could have a special meeting for a bid opening as well.
So can you tell me again, what is the requirement for, it has to be in 2 papers of general readership or something? Is that
the biggest, people in the county who subscribe, the biggest subscribers for the county. Yeah, the biggest subscriber in the county.
It has to be twice before the next
Has to be
meeting?
twice, and the second one has to be 10 days prior to the
Open.
opening.
Yeah, so I don't know what their requirements are now. So you're saying if we advertise today?
If we can somehow get it in Wednesday's paper, and then the following Wednesday's paper, then you could do it, but if you can't, then I know we've stuck a few of them in before.
And what do you do about our second paper?
What do you mean?
Normally we have to do 2 papers.
We don't have, I've never had to do, I do
You
2
don't?
papers on, just trying to get the word out.
I just wanna make sure.
That's what we always do. The way I understood the law, when Arden told me, was just the biggest subscriber, or, paper subscriber in the county. I
All
know
right, in
for-
short, I guess to keep things moving,
do they have the right to challenge, our determination that, if they think they have it there in some other form or something like that, or, I mean, it's not there, it's not there, but
Right.
if they were to turn around and say, oh, yes, it is. I know. I know.
They could, but I would think that if we make our determination, then I don't know that it's subject to their remonstrance or appeal or anything of that nature.
Okay.
You made a determination, again, you can wait, but that's delaying things because it's too far out. Doesn't seem to be a very competitive bidding process.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I'd rather not be that way, but again, it's a worse on the money and, we don't have the 10%.
That's right.
for simplicity's sake, we should reject the bid, that's step 1.
Correct.
I'll move that we reject the bid we received for the ambulance as incomplete.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries. So the next thing is, we'd like to have another bid, and open it at the next meeting if possible. If not possible, we will do it 2 meetings from now, so. Does that sound accurate?
Yes. If you want to do it at a regular scheduled meeting, like I said, you can have a bid opening at a special meeting if you wanted to. I don't know. That 2 weeks on a current build time for these things, I don't know that that's going to impact it too much.
What do you think, Mr. Young?
That's what I do. When's the next scheduled meeting?
June 6th.
June 6th?
And then June 20th.
6th and June 20th.
I just want to give you direction on who we should work with or what we should do. I'd like to get it done as soon as possible for him, but I don't know the timeline.
So I can reach out to the papers and see, as long as they have two 7 days apart and then 2 days prior to that.
Yeah, and it's been great. I don't know, I've had luck and I've had not luck, so. I know the Vernon News is a lot harder to deal with, but the Herald, that's what with that.
Do you want to do 10 o'clock again, or do you want to do, because they have them open now, pencil them in for.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper the 20th? I mean, is that
On the 20th?
June 20th?
If you don't think that 2 weeks makes a
Well, I
difference,
mean,
we'll do the 20th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think,
I'll put you in.
if we'd have to get it in tomorrow, I don't know if they're not gonna be able to get it in tomorrow. So then it's okay for me to reach out to this company and let them know why.
Send them advertisement.
So they're missing the state form and the.
State form, bid bond, and the non-collusion affidavit.
That's the one I always look for every time, non-included affidavit. And the bond.
So I have you on the 20th at 10.
Any other business with the ambulance or anything else you'd like to report on? No.
Yeah, always never open up, no matter what you do.
Any public comment? Seeing none, we will end the meeting.
Thank you.
You can go copy it next door with Mark if you want. Take a look at it.
It's cold in here this morning.
Great.
Send them.
Okay,
He's got a PDF or Word copy. I don't see this.
see you guys when I see you.
Enjoy your trip.
Yeah,
We're leaving
you
on
know what I'm saying?
Monday, Memorial Day. Leaving Memorial Day morning.
You're around for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Am I right? See you later.
Okay.
So.
I sent those in the paper too. And I even talked to them about that.
And that 1095 is online, so they can go find it.
28
And I
hours
didn't
now.
know that maybe, I don't know that, but
Punch sheet. By the time I got it on Wednesday
you open
evening,
the number.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So,
he only gave us 2 hours.
I don't see it.
So good thing we
We
didn't.
do have a copy of the form.
Give me an email.
They're online, Steve.
I'll